that this was probably one of the hardest times ever in my whole entire life. Literally felt like I was gonna die.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys my pregnancy journey / labor and delivery story. I'm going to be answering some videos and pictures throughout the video, so stay tuned for that. I went through hell and back through this whole journey, but we're both healthy and we're both fine, so that's all that matters. Please don't forget to like, comment, and share, and let's get right into this video. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the beginning of my pregnancy. Let me tell you guys that this was probably one of the hardest times ever in my whole entire life. It was 4 long months of throwing up and constantly in and out of the hospital. I had to go in and get IVs, and they would give me Zofran to stop the vomiting. Sometimes Zofran wouldn't work, so they would have to give me a shot to get drowsy so I can stop throwing up. I literally felt like I was gonna die. I would throw up to 15 times a day, and some days even more. Every single day I would wake up and just cry. I would cry waking up, I would cry going to sleep. I would tell my boyfriend Justin that I literally couldn't do it anymore. I remember it was late October, beginning of November, and my whole house smelled like fall. My mom had perfume, air fresheners, candles all over the house smelling like fall, Halloween. And when I tell you that I would have to hold my nose walking around the house because I couldn't with that smell. Till this day, if I ever pass through an aisle in a store that smells like that, I just want to throw up just remembering that smell. Sometimes I would even have to spray down my room just to take that smell away, and sometimes I would have to put blankets under my door just so the smell won't come in my room. It was so bad, you guys, like, you don't understand. And let's now talk about Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving, I was at the beginning of my pregnancy, and oh my gosh, imagine seeing all that meat and all that food and all that fall and Thanksgiving smell. It was so bad. I was literally laying down in bed. I couldn't even eat on Thanksgiving. I was laying down in bed all day, and I literally looked like... If I keep looking down so much, I just have my phone here. I wrote everything down for you guys just so I won't miss anything. Okay, so then December came around. I remember I had to take some antibiotics because I had an infection, and my stomach was so weak from obviously all the throwing up and not eating. So I drank the antibiotic, and the next day I was in so much pain. And not to mention I have gastritis. So the antibiotics messed up my stomach completely. I remember bathing in hot water and just laying in the bathtub in pain, crying, and my mom would have to try to feed me the food while I was laying down in the hot water. And I was just crying and crying and crying in pain. So my boyfriend rushes me to my OB's office. I remember I was as pale as a paper, and he had to even help me walk up the stairs because I couldn't even walk to his office. And when I was coming through the doors and the nurse in the front saw me, she sent me straight to the hospital. So I get to the hospital and they start doing me an ultrasound up here. Obviously they can't do an x-ray because I was pregnant. So when they did the ultrasound, they noticed that I had stomach ulcers. So they admitted me to the hospital, and I had to stay there for a whole week. I swear on everything that was probably one of the hardest times in my whole entire life. That hospital stay traumatized me. I don't even like to walk into hospitals anymore. When I tell you this, you guys probably don't think it's that bad. Like, my words don't do its justice, but you guys have to, like, if you guys were in my shoe, oh my gosh. When we talk about those times now, my grandma would tell me that my mom would talk to her while I was at the hospital, and she'll tell her that she didn't think I was gonna make it. Not to be negative or anything, but through that whole experience, I was so bad that literally everybody thought that I wasn't gonna make it. Literally that whole week that I was in the hospital, I was literally throwing myself off the hospital bed on the floor, just screaming and screaming in pain. I'm pretty sure all the nurses in the lobby thought I was crazy. My pain was so bad that they even had to give me morphine while I was pregnant. I kept throwing up while I was in the hospital. I even threw up blood a couple of times. My mom had to shower me in the hospital. Back then I couldn't throw up without sticking my finger down my throat. There was one point that I was throwing up so much while I was at the hospital that they told me that if I throw up one more time by sticking my finger down my throat, that they were gonna put a nurse in my room 24/7 just so she can watch me so I won't stick my finger down my throat. They also made me change rooms in front of the nursing station just so they can watch me. And let me not forget to mention that every time I would throw up, my blood pressure would go up the roof since my body was so weak, it couldn't handle it. I remember I had the little stickers around my chest. I'm not sure what that's called, but it monitors your heart rate. Well, there was like 2 times that the nurses had to come in and rush into the room and check if everything was okay because my heart rate was like over the freaking roof. I also had an anxiety attack at the hospital. I think it was from being in those 4 walls all day and just knowing that my pain wasn't getting better. So I got anxiety and it led to an anxiety attack. In those 7 days that I was at the hospital, 5 of those days, I did not try 1 bit of water, 1 bit of food. My stomach was completely empty. Not even water was sitting in my stomach. Till one day I tried a little piece of cracker, and from that day on I would eat like little pieces of crackers, little bit of water, a little bit of apple juice, and like 5 grains of rice. I'm not even kidding you guys. So then they let me leave on Christmas on December 25th. When I tell you that I don't even want to look back at last Christmas, believe me. I also forgot to mention that the day after, or a couple of days after the hospital, I went into my OB for a checkup, and before the hospital I was 135, and when I left the hospital I was 110. I lost so much weight. I'm gonna try to find the picture of when I was super skinny. Please don't judge. I was super ugly and super skinny. I looked like a lizard that swallowed an egg because I literally had like a little bump and I was super skinny. My hands were like bones. Like they were so dried up. Oh my gosh. Okay, so from nothing really happened. I literally did a 360. I gained so much weight. I was 110, like I said, and by the end of my pregnancy I went to 160. It was such a blessing to be able to gain weight so fast. I literally went from not eating at all, not even a little piece of cracker, to eating 2 plates of food and still being hungry. That first trimester almost killed me until I saw the light at the end of the tunnel at my 2nd trimester, where everything literally changed. I'm not gonna say that my 2nd trimester was a perfect, because obviously I had days that I felt super horrible, but nothing like my first trimester. Okay, so now I'm gonna fast forward to June, which is the month that I gave birth on. So June 26th comes around, and it was around 12 in the morning, and I was having small contractions. I was having small contractions here and there, but then I fell asleep because they really weren't that strong. Then around 4 in the morning, they got really strong, and I woke up. So I woke up my boyfriend Justin. I told him, hey, I'm having contractions, so just be ready and get ready for anything. So at that point, I got in the shower and I stayed in the shower. The hot water actually really helped me a lot while I was having contractions. I wanted to make sure that they were real contractions and not Braxton Hicks, because I've had Braxton Hicks during my whole pregnancy, so I just kind of wanted to see if it was the real deal. So around 6 in the morning, we started heading to the hospital because it was to a point where I couldn't hold them anymore. Once we got to the hospital, they checked if I was dilated, but I was only dilated 1 centimeter, so they sent me back home. Then I went back to the hospital around 6 in the afternoon, because at that point I was already crying because it was super bad. I couldn't hold it at that point anymore. I go back to the hospital. This time it's me, my boyfriend, and my mom. We all go. And when I get there, I was, I think, 3 centimeters dilated. So when they saw that I was 3 centimeters dilated, the nurse told me that she was gonna call my doctor to see if he wanted to admit me or send me home. And I guess he said to admit me because they admitted me right away. So when the nurse came back and told me that I was admitted, I had to change into a gown, and they started hooking me up to all these machines, to the IVs, to everything. And she also gave me a big ball that I could bounce on when I get contractions. I guess it helps. And they also gave me a small ball that I can put in between my legs, and supposedly it helps you dilate faster. By the time that the nurse came back and everything, it was probably like an hour and a half. And at that point, she asked me if I wanted to get the epidural, and of course I wasn't gonna say no. And they come back and they start the procedure of the epidural. Before, they have to read you like a whole bunch of things, just warnings and stuff that you have to know before you actually get the epidural. One of the things that they did tell me was, do you know that the epidural can leave you paralyzed and all this? And at this point I was so scared. The pain was so bad that I was just like, hell yes, go for it. And I hate how people overreact about the epidural. In my experience, it was super easy and super fast. Literally felt like a bee sting, I don't know, which it really wasn't that bad to how people make it seem. But then again, everybody's different. Everyone has different pain tolerance, so I don't judge. When I tell you that the epidural was probably one of the best decisions I ever made in my life, believe me. My pain went from like a 10 to a 1 in minutes. Right after I got the epidural, I literally felt great. I talked, I laughed. Well, time just kept going by and by. And by like 11 o'clock, my nurse comes back in and she has to check me again for dilation. And at this point, I was 5 centimeters dilated, which wasn't much from when I first got there. So they called my doctor to see if he wanted to put Pitocin on me, which, if you guys don't know, Pitocin is a medicine that they put through an IV that helps you dilate faster. But my doctor didn't want me to get on Pitocin. He just wanted me to dilate naturally. So yeah, we sat there through the whole night. And around 9:30 a.m., my nurse comes back. And at this point, it's a different nurse. So they introduce themselves and whatnot. And at this point, she has to check me again for dilation. And at this time, I am around 9 centimeters dilated. So she explained to me how she was gonna call my doctor and start setting everything up. When she called my doctor, I guess my doctor told her to turn my epidural off just in case my lower body was too numb that I couldn't feel anything and I wasn't able to push, which I still don't get till this day. So if your nurses at this point come in and they shut off my epidural, mind you, I did not know what was going on because my sister and my mom were the ones that heard the conversation. I did not know that my epidural was going to be shut off completely. My mom and my sister obviously didn't want to let me know what was going on in that moment because they knew I was going to panic. So about 10 minutes passed by and I literally felt everything down there. Like I could move my legs and everything. And I told my mom, hey, like I literally could feel everything. And she was like, just don't worry, relax, everything's okay. She obviously did not want to tell me. So after those 10 minutes passed, I was literally screaming in pain already. Oh, I'm pretty sure everybody in the lobby could hear me just screaming and screaming and screaming in pain. Okay, so my nurse finished setting everything up, the baby's little station, all the papers, everything, and she comes back and tells me, hey, we're gonna start pushing. So I would have to push every single time a contraction would come, which at this point they were a minute apart, if so. The pain was so strong that it would literally take the scream out of me. If I would have gone like 2 more minutes with that pain, I probably would have passed out. My heart rate again was through the roof. So after about 25 minutes of just pushing and feeling everything down there, I finally felt Dylan's head kind of coming out. So I asked my nurse again, hey, where's my doctor? And she runs out to the lobby and tries to see if there's another OB on call, because since my doctor was taking forever, I guess she couldn't find the OB on call. So she literally ran back in the room and told me, just keep pushing, don't worry. So 10 minutes passed and I was still pushing. 10 minutes felt like an hour, literally, while you're pushing. So my doctor finally comes in the room. They start putting everything on him, like his gloves, everything. He was taking his sweet time. He was telling the nurses, can you please fix this light? Can you move this over here? This and that. Oh my gosh. I was in so much pain that I feel so bad, but I literally yelled at him. I was like, can you please hurry up? I'm in so much pain. So he tells me, just relax. Everything's gonna be okay. So the minute that he comes and he helps me down there, if you know what I mean, Dylan comes out literally within seconds.
Yes! There he is.
Yes! Yes, baby! They laid Dylan on me and it was probably one of the best moments in my entire life. Literally all my pain went away for that little second that he was on me. At that point that I saw Dylan, I just started crying even more than I was already crying in pain. But I started crying even more because I finally saw him. I knew he was healthy and I knew that this horrible journey was literally over. And I'm not saying horrible as in like getting pregnant is horrible, but my experience was horrible. When I tell you that I felt everything, I felt everything. I just felt so much blood gushing out, and I remember my doctor saying she's bleeding out a lot. So literally within seconds after, I feel a shot on my thigh just to help me stop the blood. Then he kept like pushing hard down on my stomach, trying to get the placenta out. I swear it literally passed like 20 minutes and he was still trying to take my placenta out. I remember him also saying, oh my gosh, like, why is it so hard to take your placenta out? So he was literally pushing and pushing and pushing, and imagine you're just in so much pain. You just gave birth. Your whole body is so sensitive, and they just keep pushing and pushing and pushing down on your stomach. He was literally trying to take my placenta out for a good 15 minutes. So minutes passed by, and he finally got it out. It literally felt like a big jelly just coming out. I'm sorry, it's too much information, but I'm just trying to be as raw as possible with you guys so you guys can literally feel my experience. So he starts stitching me up down there because I got a 2nd-degree tear. I felt that too, by the way. I was kind of already zoning out because I was so exhausted from literally pushing 45 minutes, and I was in so much pain. I also felt him stick like 10 little pills up my behind. I'm not sure what that was for. I remember him telling me what it was for, but I was already zoned out. So as he was stitching me up and like working on me down there, I hear in the background that Dylan weighs 7'10", which was a shock to me because I've always had a small belly, so everybody thought my baby was gonna be small, which he actually was a pretty good size. So after he finished cleaning me up and cleaning everything up, my mom asked for a picture with him, which I'm gonna insert the picture here. I'm gonna blur out his face so just for his own privacy. Okay, so from this moment on, after I took that picture, I don't remember anything else. I don't remember my family coming in to meet Dylan. I don't remember anything. I was just dead asleep on the hospital bed. I do have a picture of Ava meeting Dylan for the first time, so I'm gonna insert it here. Ava is my niece, by the way, if you guys don't know. Okay, so we spent about 2 days after I gave birth in the hospital. I went in on a Wednesday. On Thursday I gave birth, and I got out on Saturday. My hospital stay in general was great. We actually get a complimentary dinner, the parents. It was so delicious. All the nurses were super sweet, and they really helped me out a lot with breastfeeding. It was so painful as well. It felt like my nipple was getting rubbed onto a hot concrete floor, but that's a whole different story. If you guys want me to share my breastfeeding journey as well, just leave a comment down below. I'm more than happy to share that with you guys because I know that there's a lot of moms out there that struggle with that, and trust me, I was one of them. So before they discharge you, your nurse will read some instructions to you guys, like what you can and what you can't do, and what's good for the baby and what's not. And I remember some of the things that she told us was that we can't be sexually active for 6 weeks. And she also explained to me that if anything comes out from under there that is bigger than the size of an egg, that I had to rush to the hospital. Okay, so we were so happy to finally get to go home because as comfortable as my hospital was, there's nothing like home. My hospital actually has a king size bed that fits both parents. I was so blessed with this hospital, to be honest. I would not choose any other hospital. So we finally get home, and we are super excited to start this new journey with our gorgeous little boy. Okay, so the story doesn't end there. After being home for 4 days, I go and use the bathroom, and you guys can already kind of imagine what happened. Yep, this huge thing comes out through under there, which is too much information, but it was actually bigger than the size of an egg. When I saw that huge thing come out, I took a picture of it and I sent it to my mom because I was so scared. She told me that I had to rush to the hospital, obviously, because it was bigger than the size of an egg. So obviously my sister had to take care of Dylan, and me and Justin had to rush to the hospital. So I showed the picture to the doctor, and he explained to me how that was a placenta. So they start to check me. They do an ultrasound just to make sure that I didn't have any more inside of me. So they do tests on me and stuff like that, and it comes back that I have an infection because of the placenta. So they give me medicine through the IV, they give me antibiotics, and the ultrasound showed fine. I did not have any more placenta inside of me. So the reason why I guess I had some retained placenta inside of me, because my OB really struggled with getting that placenta out. So I'm guessing that's the reason why I had some leftover placenta. So as days keep passing by, more little pieces came out, not as big as the first one. So then I made an appointment with my OB just to get a checkup, just to make sure that everything is okay. So when I go in for my checkup, they do another ultrasound, and he told me that there's no more placenta inside of me. So thankfully everything ended up okay. It is very dangerous to have retained placenta inside of you after you give birth, or anything inside of you after you give birth. I thank God that my infection was very small because things could have gotten very, very bad. And this overall was a horrible and a really painful and hard experience, but I cannot explain to you guys how blessed I am to have got the little boy that I've always dreamed of having. I am not here to tell my experience to scare anybody. It is my experience. My sister had a wonderful experience. I guess that's what kind of messed me up. I went inside the hospital thinking that my experience was gonna be like my sister's, wonderful, no pain, no anything, and it literally went completely south. But I am just really happy and glad that we are both healthy and we are both doing great. Having a baby is a blessing, so don't be scared. Please let me know down below if you guys want to see more videos like these. I actually planned on doing a video of my postpartum / stretch marks, because I do have stretch marks, and I want to show you guys and share with you guys how my body changed after I gave birth. Please leave a comment down below if you guys would like for me to film that video for you guys. I am so glad and grateful that I can share this experience with you guys, and thank you guys so much again, and until next time, bye.